Welcome to the SharePoint Best Practices for Process Automation. Today, we appreciate you guys joining us. With me, the guy that you've been talking and hearing about is Alberto Lugo. He's the CEO of INVID.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
There he is, man. And we want to welcome a bunch of folks. There's I don't know how many people are coming in today. There's just so many different agencies. I couldn't believe it when I was looking at how many different agencies are using Microsoft 365. It is pretty pervasive, wouldn't you say, Alberto?
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be the best briefing if from Luz from FEMA, automating process and integration emphasis. I do believe the emphasis is exactly on that, right, Alberto?
It is, yes.
Yeah. And from Stephen from FAA, I can see how PowerPoint apps can be leveraged for automating processes and workflows in SharePoint Online. Right in your wheelhouse, my good man. Rachel from FEMA, I can utilize the existing SharePoint Online environment for targeted processes. Ooh, I bet you can. Yeah. And Shane from the VA, I come away with good information to make my organization better. I hope you do. Michelle from State, I learned how to automate processes to increase efficiencies and reduce human error. I love it. I love it. Phyllis from State, if I get if it gets us a better program workable virtually from home, I do believe that is true. Martin B from the FAA, this can help address migration from existing WFs to PowerPoint apps. I have no idea what that means, man.
That's going to be workflows.
Woo! All right, there you go. See, I don't know what that means because I am not the SharePoint expert, as we all know. And Zende from the VA, there's something I can use immediately in my organization from the presentation. I do hope that it is the case. I'm going to introduce you a little bit more to INVID and the good folks that Alberto Lugo manages there. A growing organization out of Puerto Rico. We'll talk about some of your agency issues and challenges. We'll talk about best practices. We want to get interaction with you with Q&A, as well as some recommended action steps for moving forward. If this is not even applicable anymore, so I'm blowing right past all that stuff. And here we are. Participation is very, very easy. You can chat, you can raise your hand. We'll be glad to have that dialogue, right, Alberto?
It is, yeah.
And Q&A, you can open that up, and Gov support at INVID Group is monitoring. If you want to take something offline, we'll be glad to do that. Just send it to govsupport@invidgroup.com. If you like the fact that Alberto is in his nice new digs in his office down in Puerto Rico, and you want to make them bigger, you can. You can make it side by side. If you've been living under a rock and don't know how to use Zoom, just go get that thing and that little doodad, and you can make it bigger or smaller. Quick disclaimer, this is not affiliated or endorsed by GSA, even though Alberto has a GSA schedule. We'll talk about that later. Or any other agency is provided to you for informational purposes only, and all participation by you in this briefing is voluntary, and engagement for personnel is not an indication or endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor, including INVID. And those are the rules, because that's what GSA told us to say. And there you have it. But that lets you be able to communicate with us. And speaking of communication, why in the world did you guys decide to join us today? You just want to learn something about SharePoint? Are you a SharePoint user? Are you in the trenches using it? Are you a program manager responsible for your team's use of SharePoint? Are you in procurement? Or did your boss make you come? Somebody's got to be a Weisenheimer. I know it. I know somebody's got to be one. That's why
guys, voting is painful.
Yeah, it's painful. That's so painful. All right, well, let's go on this. Telling us all about that and what they do. Tell us a little bit about INVID. And we already know that you're in Paradise in Puerto Rico, so you don't have to make anybody else feel bad about where they live. So go ahead.
So first, before starting the conference, I just want to say that we want to add as much value as possible for you guys. So if at any moment you have any questions or comments, please write them down in the chat, and they will make sure that I get them and I try to address them as best as I can for my team. So as Dave was mentioning, we are a full service IT company based in Puerto Rico with a sales office in Bristol City, very close to Washington, DC. And we specialize in custom software development, application modernization, and obviously SharePoint consulting. And we also have a GSA Schedule 70 that we are very eager to use with you guys. If you can move to the next slide, please.
You better believe it. I can, I think. There you go.
So we have numerous diversity certifications, such as the SBA 8A since 2016. We are also a minority business enterprise since the same year, and disadvantaged business enterprise from the Department of Transportation. And we are also in the process of acquiring the Hub Zone at the moment. We're just in the final certification path with the SBA. And we also have been a Microsoft certified partner since 2004, which means that we have the highest level of competency for providing SharePoint solutions and solutions on the cloud for Microsoft. As I was saying before, we specialize in 4 specific areas on the software development lifecycle, such as enterprise software development, mobile application development, web portals, and intranets and extranets, which is what we do with SharePoint and PowerApps. We're going to cover in a minute. I'm myself, I'm a software engineer from education. I'm an entrepreneur by chance. I've been doing this for the past 17 or 18 years. I started working with SharePoint back in Microsoft in 1999. It was 1999. Oh man. And I also love to kitesurf. I think that's something that you should do if you are on an island in the Caribbean.
That's him, baby. That's him.
Stress buster. It's great for managing stress, and it's also very cool.
It is absolutely there. So that's him doing his thing. So if you're not completely jealous about everything about Alberto, at least give him a chance to be able to redeem himself by being an engineer. So anyhow, so the objective here, and I love this, INVID, simplify, automate, and measure.
Yeah, and we simplify processes, we automate workflows, and we measure results. So that's the main thing about using software. It's not just putting a software out there to leave the process as it is or make it more complex. We just want to simplify what you're doing so you can be more productive with your time, save money, and do the best work that you can with the time available.
And speaking about making you guys, whoa, hold on a second.
Do you have the results for the first poll? I didn't.
I do. I can show the results of the first poll. There you go. They want to learn more. They're SharePoint users. A lot of folks, SharePoint program managers, and a few folks that are in procurement.
Perfect.
There you go. Asking ye shall receive. That's what I say. All right. So here we go. What are you using Microsoft 365 for? A lot of folks using Teams now, my man. A lot of folks using Teams. Cloud storage, you can choose as many as you want with this, I do believe. Cloud, secure cloud storage, centralized communications, PowerApps, that's why we're here, I do believe, and process automation or something else. We'll make sure this is a good cross section so we can see what you guys are doing. And again, participation is easy. And I know that we asked some questions on the way in, and I'm going to ask one of those that I think, is this program in use now? This comes from Phyllis. She's an office management specialist, and she's in legal somewhere. And she says, is this program in use? And if so, by what agency? I think every agency has it, don't you?
Yeah, most of the agencies are using SharePoint for different things. Some of them are automating processes. Some of them are using it for cloud storage or document management. And some of them are using it for centralized communications with peers. It might be that you haven't seen it because you don't know how it looks like, or they are customizing the software. So you might not know you're using SharePoint, but most likely if you're working with an agency, you're using it for some of the things that we are covering in that survey. So if you can pull the results, so we can see what we're looking at in terms of how people are using the software.
There you go. Few people are using Microsoft Teams. I'm not sure why that is.
Show the results, please.
Yep. Didn't I do it? Oh, there it is.
Yep. There you go.
Yep. Microsoft Teams, big time. I wonder why that is, Alberto.
So COVID accelerated the communications part of Office 365.
You
I
better
think it's
believe
very
it.
important that to say that what we are going to cover here, most of the things that I'm going to talk about, we can integrate with Teams, or even so, we can publish Power Apps and we can publish intranet portals to Microsoft Teams. And I think that's something that you can find very valuable on your SharePoint implementation and on your Teams daily usage. So
Gotcha.
we can go ahead.
And I do have a question from David, who's asking about, will we get a copy of the slides? Give me 1 second. I'm going to do this. I tried to do this earlier, but it didn't take. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm hoping that this works for you guys, because sometimes you can't get to Dropbox, but it's in Dropbox at the moment. But fear not, by the time we're done, we're going to get a recap email out there, and we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of this. And it goes, boom. See if you can get to this. If you can't get to it, then I'll make sure you get that later directly. All right. So let's talk about these common situations that everybody's rocking and rolling.
So yeah, we asked the question about how are you using Office 365, because these are 5 of the most common things that people use Office 365 for. And the #1 reason we get from clients is we subscribe to Office 365 to migrate Exchange. We were not going to be using Exchange on premise. We don't want to administer those servers. So we're gonna subscribe to Office 365 to eliminate that hardware. #2 reason is SharePoint Online. We're using SharePoint, but it's not fully configured. We don't trust the security of the intranet side, so we're not publishing confidential information to the intranet because we don't know if it's secure or not. #3, we're still using SharePoint Server on premise. So most of the folks we talk to, they have an instance of SharePoint working on the cloud and an instance of SharePoint on premise. Most of the clients are not using Yammer. Yammer is an enterprise social network such as Facebook, but for internal use. And it's proven to be very beneficial during COVID because at least in our organization and our clients, people are chatting, people are posting information, and it gives you a sense of community, even though you're not in the office on a daily basis. Also, a lot of people are using Teams, as we saw in the survey. Planner, which is sort of a calendar with tasks that you can assign to other people in the team. Again, another software that many people don't know exists, or they don't know they already paying for in the Office 365. So we'll talk a little bit about that. OneDrive, which is for cloud storage, such as the Dropbox that Dave is using. I don't know why you're not using OneDrive instead of Dropbox.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
And then Stream, which is for publishing videos. You can publish videos such as if you were publishing to YouTube, but you can do it internally to your team. So there's a bunch of software that comes with the Office 365 subscription, and most people don't know they're paying for it. So they're using other software and paying for other licenses, again, on top of SharePoint and on top of Office 365.
Yeah, like Dropbox.
#5, paying subscription. I mean, come on, Dave. I'm trying to get my point here, and you're using Dropbox, man. And #5, people are using paying for a subscription of product that do the same thing as the product included in Office 365. I get a lot of people using Teams and then using Zoom and paying another subscription instead of using a software that basically does the same thing. So we're going to address those things in the next couple of slides. If you can move forward. So how does it feel to live without collaboration? So we use email for everything. I can get a sense of most people during COVID are tired of receiving emails 24/7, calls, chats, WhatsApp, text messages. So people already forgot how it was to work 9 to 5. They're working 24 hours a day, and they're using email for most communication that not necessarily it's supposed to go to email. #2, documents saved locally on computer. If the computer crashes, if you get a hacker, if the hardware fails, you lose all the information that you have on that computer. #3, no version control. So you can see there that we have bunch of files with different names, which means the same thing, but you don't trust the version control in your computer. You don't even have that when you're using your local drive. When you move to SharePoint, you can have only one document and one version of the truth, and you can navigate backwards on time, and you can see the changes made to that document. I believe that's one of the best and least known features of an intranet. And then a bunch of manual processes, printing documents, signing them, sending through email, scanning, a bunch of processes that should be automated in the workforce. So what we're looking at, we want to get you to work out loud. We want to show what you're doing to your peers, and we want you to be able to collaborate easier. So this is the evolution of the communications. And Dave, you can help me here with when you were born, you were using that Dove to send messages to your folks. And then we have been
sorry, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
So we've been using different methods.
And Morse code. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Code, we moved to the phone, fax, and then we started using social networks, and we started using Teams and other communication methodologies that it's not necessarily an email. And that's what we want to get you to do. Collaborate and simplify your processes. Keep moving forward, please.
Yes, sir. I'm answering Ruth. We're going to get the information out by email. Don't you worry.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any other questions here?
Only on the chat about not being able to get to the documents.
All right. So the modern workplace, how does it look like? We have chats, we have intranets or electronic forms, and we can automate a bunch of things using electronic forms. And we're going to see that in a minute. We can use Yammer, as I told before, for enterprise social network, to communicate, to share information on a daily basis. We can use a CRM, not just for getting the information from clients and seeing what's happening, but also for providing services to citizens and to other folks outside of the agency. We can use also, we can use a project management system with the other software that I mentioned, such as Planner. And we can also create custom solutions on top of SharePoint, which will allow you to have the same user interface as you already been using, but to get more out of the software. I'm going to explain that in a minute. Go on. So why SharePoint? One of the persons was asking, is there any agency using SharePoint? And I said, well, most of them are using SharePoint for document management, but look at the Swiss Army knife from Microsoft. And this is why this is the software that sells more licenses after Windows and Office. Did you know that, Dave?
I did not know that.
SharePoint is the third largest software for Microsoft. And why is that? We can do document management. We can do collaboration of information. We can do data storage in list. So you don't have to have a database. You can store information on list on SharePoint. Go back for a second, please.
Sorry.
And we can do web content management. So you can have your website, or you can have an intranet, or you can have an extranet on top of SharePoint. And then rights management and document security. And that's one of the biggest features that people don't know how to use very well. So it's very important that when you guys are deploying software such as SharePoint, you either work with a certified partner, which will get you all the taxonomy right and the security right. So when you're sharing confidential, secret, or top secret information to your intranet, you make sure that only people that are supposed to see that document are able to see it.
Nice.
Keep going.
I will. And Barbara Lawrence said from SSA, she says SSA uses SharePoint for so much more than document storage. So they're rocking and rolling. And we do have a question from David. How deep will you get into Power Apps? We'll talk about those in just a minute.
We're going to have in a minute, we're going to see some samples of Power Apps, and you can ask any questions if you have one. This is the out-of-the-box SharePoint experience, and this is how it would look like when you start using it without any customizations or configuration. So it looks pretty bland.
Yep.
And now I'm going to show you different examples of how we can make it look. And this is from a client of ours that this is the main portal. And you can see a bunch of information beautifully crafted and customized for providing information on the birthdays for the employees, the cafeteria menu, the most seen documents for the month, and even customized forms that a lot of employees are using on a daily basis instead of having them in a document management portal or in another place. They have it on the main side of the internet so everybody can look at it at a glance. And I'm going to show you different examples. This is from a pharmaceutical company back in Puerto Rico. You can show the next one. And this is another template which looks a little bit like the first one, but also customized for these clients' needs. You can see at the right side information on the birthdays, the most common news for that company, and then a bunch of links to the left where people can access other systems and information very easily.
And that's what I find really interesting, because every agency has nuances that they need, and then sub parts of the agency to be able to communicate. All these can be set up individually, right?
Yeah.
And
we have a client that asked us to provide information on the printers, where they located, and the software to use them. Instead of calling the help desk, they can self-service that, and they don't have to bother anyone.
Love it.
You can go back one,
Okay.
because I want to talk a little bit about this. This is an intranet site for the Department of Health back in Puerto Rico, but it also uses the same template for the website. So they're leveraging Office 365 and SharePoint on premise to show citizens information on the agency, and they are also managing all the workflows for providing that content and publishing that content to the outside world. They are giving that power to the department. So each different department inside of the agency is providing the content, and the tech department is only approving the workflow to publish that. So it's very good that they are leveraging the power of those workflows for them being more productive. So Power Platform, for that person that was asking about it, Power Platform, it's composed of four different modules from Microsoft. The first one being PowerApps, which is a low-code software for creating forms and small pieces of software to automate processes. And we're going to talk a little bit about each one of them. The second one is Power Automate for enhancing and producing workflows. Power BI is for measuring results, as we were talking at the beginning, and showing graphics and KPIs. And then Power Virtual Agent, which is sort of a chatbot, which will use AI to automate responses either to employees or to clients. Can move forward, and we're going to talk a little bit about each one of them. Power Apps being I believe the most important one, because with no code development skills, you can easily create a software, or you can create a form that is going to have intake of information. It's going to process the information, and it's going to provide a result or more information for the user. The skill level actually to create software on top of Power Apps, it's basically writing formulas in Excel. You can, I want to address something that people may not know. You can write code inside of Power Apps, but it's not necessarily needed. It's just depending on the amount of customization you want from that software. And then very importantly, if any of you guys is using InfoPath, know that the end of life support from Microsoft for InfoPath is 2026. So after that date, you're not gonna have any support from Microsoft, because they stopped creating on top of InfoPath, and they're gonna stop providing support on 2026. So you should consider start planning or start moving your application in the next 4 or 5 years before you stop getting support from them. Power Automate, very powerful stuff. You can create workflow, you can automate workflow, and you can do it in a graphical interface. So you're not going to have to write code again. You can also, if you know how to create formulas in Excel, you can go in and you can take a form that you created on InfoPath, and you can say, when this happens, send an email. When this happens, update this information in SharePoint. When this happens, access this API from this other software in the backend and update this information. So again, this is very powerful for automating processes from SharePoint to other line of business applications or to other intranet sites in your team. And there's also a common data service that you can share with other applications. As the last point says, it has a bunch of third-party connections to Salesforce, to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, to HubSpot, and a bunch of other software. So you can invoke a process from another software without having to code. And that's very powerful. And last but not least, Power BI. When you do all this automation, you want to measure results. You want to see what's happening in the backend. And you can really, again, drag and drop graphics, and you can drag and drop KPIs, and you can start measuring what's happening with all this automation on the backend. So you can go forward. So why use a low-code application development instead of creating a software from scratch? And
there's all kind of reasons. Most people could say, well, why wouldn't you?
Exactly, but from some folks that are watching this video or this presentation, you might say, well, I could do this basically from scratch, but there's a bunch of concerns such as budget constraints. And you know, sometimes you're very tight on budget and not necessarily you need to create an application from scratch. Also, there's also a time and resource constraint. You don't have the resources available in-house, or you don't have the time to create a software. You know, software, most of the time you start at least 3 months to a year, 2 years, depending on the amount of automation that you want to get from the software. So it's going to take a long time to create a software and test it. Again, business expectations. The business wants you to have something in the next couple of weeks instead of the next couple of years or months. You have a bunch of paper processes, and you want to eliminate paper at the workplace, but you don't want to invest in a software. Also, you have a complex process. Maybe you can create a form on PowerApps, and you can simplify a process that took 3 printers, 5 person in the workflow and all that, and you can automate it, and it goes through email. And then legacy system maintenance. You have a software that is old, and you don't want to go and keep maintaining that software. So you, instead of migrating, you can leave that as a legacy software for providing information on the past transactions, and you can automate the first couple of things. And then leveraging existing technology. This is very important because you're already paying for Office 365. You might be paying for PowerApps. And so you have the software there. Why pay for anything else? Mm-hmm. Keep going.
I'm going to add one thing to that. And you talk about the legacy systems, the shadow IT, and leveraging existing technology. As soon as you do anything customized, whatever's happening in the programmer's mind goes when they leave. And it can create a tremendous problem if it's not with documentation as well. And that's one of the reasons why there's there's a lot of initiatives to get away from that, the customized program. So there you go.
All right. So again, this is to show some of the screens of how it would look when you're creating a software with the low-code platform. You can see on the right, it's you can write the code once, and you can access it on the web. You can access it on a tablet. You can access it on a mobile device. But most importantly, for those folks that told us at the beginning that they're using Teams, you can deploy these applications to Microsoft Teams. So if you need to have a form and you don't want to deploy it to the intranet, or you think it's hard to get to that form or to that software that you already created, we can easily deploy it to Microsoft Teams, and you're going to have a link or an icon to the left, and you're going to be able to go in and access that form. Also reduces errors by automating Again, this is more of the what I already talked about. We can move forward because I want to get to those questions that you might have. Let's get to the next one. Again, just to show different form factors. Keep going. Right. So
Do Power App examples. Want to do that?
yeah, I want to go to the Power Apps examples because I'm running here out of time and I want people to ask questions. So
Okay.
this is an example of a leave or absent request form deployed inside of Microsoft Teams. So as you can see on the left, you have the menu and you have a button that says absent request form. And then this is what you're gonna get. This is customized. You can see my applications or my requests. You can see about the software, and you as a supervisor can go in and either approve or deny one of the requests. Keep moving forward. This is how I would see my requests. Either they are pending. This is a draft of my request, and then I can see if they are approved with the little icons on the top. Again, this is something created on top of Power Apps, deployed to Teams, and it's almost no code. So it has a little bit of coding, but almost no code to produce a request form that can give you reports and management of the daily requests from folks in the agency. Keep going. This is another example of a mobile application we created for a client, a college campus, that needed a reservation tool for different conference rooms and different areas in the college campus. So they're going to have a shared calendar, and folks are going to be able to go in, see if it's occupied for the day that they want to go in that conference, and if it's available, they're going to request that area, and they're going to put the reason what they needed, and a supervisor for that area, it's going to either approve or deny the request. Again, something using the mobile device. This one I have seen in the federal government, and again, this is a device inventory Power App. If you want to have an inventory of different properties such as computers, cars, or anything that you need to manage, you can have a form where people are going to be able to enter this information, and then you can have when it's going to be the warranty, it's going to be expired, or when it's going to be due for renewal, and you can get a custom email, or you can get a request or a report that you can easily see and request those extensions on warranty or on support.
So just maybe they may be able to fill this stuff out so that they know that a license is expiring on September 30th.
Exactly.
We never see that, do we? We never see that. Like a billion.
Renewing for the next fiscal year.
That's right. We all know that. Right.
This is another example of an intranet, but the next slide is going to show a request for, this is a talent acquisition software. So you as an employee of this company can refer friends or refer people to work in the company. So instead of calling the HR department and just giving a lead on a person that you want to refer, you can go in and you can fill out the information. What happens with this software is that they give cash awards for those folks that are referring folks or people. If they hire that person, the employee that gave the referral is going to earn like a little cash award. So this software manages everything from the referral to the interview process to the payment of that specific cash award. You can move forward to the next one. And this is for requesting training on a college campus, again, here on the biggest university in Puerto Rico. You can go in, you can search information on different courses, or you can create the course that you're going to administer through the application. And again, this looks like a software that we built from the ground up. But again, it's a software that we did in a record time, and we deployed to the client within weeks instead of months. This is the information on the courses that are completed, that are in progress. And then you can either see and administer the people that went to that course. And you can also sign. This is the signature screen where you can sign as if you were in that specific course. So we can have, you're going to see in the next one, a report, I believe, with the information gathered. Check, yeah, go to the next one. And this is a report that it's requested by the government, and this is with using Power BI. So we're storing the information on SharePoint. We are creating a Power App to gather that information, and then we're using Power BI to produce a report on the information gathered. So again, we're using all the licenses that you're already paying for, and we are creating a software, but instead of doing it from the ground up, we're leveraging the security functionalities of SharePoint, the security functionality from Azure Active Directory, and we are producing a software that it's very much so powerful for you to automate process and simplify processes. So with that, I think that was the last slide.
Yep.
We like to turn your challenges into innovations. We want to thank everybody for staying the whole time, and we want to open for questions.
Yep, we're opening up for questions. And while we're doing this, we already have, I think, a couple dozen people that already responded to this. So did that launch?
No, not yet.
All right, hold on a second. There it goes. There she is. Okay. Technology is all I have to say about that. All right. So with that, we'll get to your questions. I know that there was one up here. Do you recommend, this is from Doug from the VA, do you recommend to use the VA design system framework on Office 365 SharePoint sites for VA branding? That's a great question. Is that something you can do here? Or you want to talk to Doug?
Well, I would like to park that and talk to him because I don't have those guidelines. But again, if they have guidelines for producing web content or intranets, it surely can be used for Office 365 and SharePoint. But I would love to see those guidelines.
So one of the other questions that we have is the question about the ability to PIV sign a PDF document in SharePoint or Power App interface.
So if you're going to use Adobe or DocuSign or any of those softwares, there's integration with Power Apps and Office 365. So you're going to do it in the same way. It's just going to be integrated to the solution, but it's not going to be a standard out of the box from SharePoint if you're not using some of those softwares. So
that's for you, Rachel, from FEMA. So anybody guys else have any questions about specifics that you would like? The VA has, this comes from Ruth Ann, the VA has a collaboration and communication team that can provide Doug the info he needs. All right, there you go. And then you can coordinate with Alberto and you guys can discuss it a little further. I got something popping up in the Q&A. Any special from Carl? Any special considerations for logic apps versus Power Automate flows? Whoa, that's down in that's in your world, man.
It all depends on what you want to accomplish. Again, I talk a little bit of, I didn't want deep dive on any of the functionalities of the software, but again, it all depends on what you really want to accomplish with the software and what can any of these software provide for your specific case.
And so, Carl, I think it'd be a great thing to chat with Alberto. By the way, Alberto, how much do you charge to chat with somebody?
It's free.
Free, my favorite four-letter word. So there we go. Well, thanks for responding to that. I will share this out. Man,
can you show the results from the poll?
I will, as soon as it lets it go. In the meantime, I'm going to talk. Oh, there we go. Share results. There. Did we see it? There it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks have a lot of needs there's other folks that were telling us on the way in. So there may be some overlap here, but we know that this is a really cool, a cool place to be and a very effective tool. And that's why I appreciate Alberto being here and helping us through this process. As we work together.
Do you have any task order that is small, even if it doesn't have to go and be competed, we are accepting small task orders. We want to use our GSA schedule, and we accept also V cards. So it doesn't matter if it's a small task order. If we can show value to you guys and if we can help you with any automation, we're eager to talk to you.
Yep. Speaking of which, while I said there is no obligation for you to buy from any vendor, including INVID, if you like to talk to Alberto and his team, his information is right here. He is getting the hub zone. It's going to happen because almost all of Puerto Rico is a hub zone.
Exactly.
And he also is a specialist, by the way, in helping connect and outsource to Puerto Rico, which is nearshore, right? We've done briefings on that as well.
Yeah, nearshore outsourcing. And also we are in the process of getting into the STARS 3 contracting vehicle. We're in that process, so we might have that by the next few months. I'm going to put my email here for
it's right there.
Asking.
There it is. Alberto's email.
There you go.
At invidgroup.com. That's it. That was a great setup, Doug. Holy smokes, man. You're gonna have to come back. You have to do this with us more often, man. This is great. Well, we really appreciate you guys joining us. And Alberto, it's always awesome to see you and work with you because of your knowledge and expertise, and specifically your knowledge and expertise within the federal agencies. You do a lot of work there, and we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you for having me, Dave. I always like to talk to folks in the federal government and really try to provide value in these briefings and just try to help as much as we can.
Yeah, man. Well, we do appreciate you guys too. Anybody that's in the program side, thank you very much. For the folks in the VA, a lot of folks in the VA love your mission. And I love just being able to support you guys in any way that we can. Other agencies too. We're not going to leave you guys out, but you know how we feel about the vets. So very much appreciate you guys joining us. Alberto, always great. And we'll see you next time. And you will get a recap email with the video, with the presentation, and additional information that you can connect directly with Alberto and his team. That sounds good.
Take care, guys.
Awesome. Great job. Thanks, guys. See you.